Hello, everybody. Welcome to June 28th, 2025. I don't know why I keep wanting to say 2027. I've been accidentally typing 2025 as 2027, like I think since yesterday. But it's not 2027, it's 2025. Welcome to Field Teaming. Today I'm going to pull some cards and just pull a spread. I feel called to kind of pull a spread on the month of June. Just reflect on how the month has been going, seeing if Spirit has any pointers for us, things to reflect on before the new month. And then I'll be back next week to forecast July. So we can kind of get into some new energies and kind of see what the summer vibe for July is looking like next week. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here, working with my old faithfuls, um, the Goddess Tarot and the Beyond Lumeria oracle cards. So yeah, let's just see, Spirit. What reflection points do you have for us for the month of June? Let's see what has gone well. Can you reflect back to us what has gone well, or things that we should continue doing and focusing on for the month of June? Mm. Mm. Um, okay, interesting. Oh, okay. Oh, wow, okay. Okay, this is pretty promising. I love it. Oh, thank you, Spirit. So, as far as what has, I don't want to say just gone well, but things that Spirit wants us to continue focusing on, the first thing that came out is, first card that came out is the Fortune card, which is represented by Lakshmi. The next card that came out is the Prince of Pentacles, which is lovely. The card after that is the Princess of Pentacles, another really like fortunate card. The card after that is the Five of Pentacles. So we have lots of pentacles here, which to me just symbolize like whatever we've been doing on the earth and material plane to get ourselves out of or work ourselves out of a sense of um like just feeling like downtrodden has been working or has been paying off, because the card after the Five of Pentacles is the Six of Staves. So kind of forecasts um the sense of using our will, our power, us, our focus in ways that benefit us, benefit our sense of fortune, benefit our sense of, well, fortune and also like groundedness too, because of all these pentacles. It's like Spirit is saying, like, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, keep digging yourself out of whatever hole you were in from not just like winter time, but just in general. The card at the bottom of the deck is the Wisdom card, represented by Saraswati. Um, so I'm feeling called to read what the booklet has to say on the Prince and the Princess of Pentacles for some reason. So let's see what that is about. Also, it's interesting because the Pentacles are considered the path of Lakshmi. So again, there's just this sense of like cohesion that maybe we've become accustomed to throughout the month of June, the sense of groundedness, the sense of working with the earth in a way, in a material way, to change our circumstances is kind of just at first glance what I get from these cards. Um, so let's start with the Prince of Pentacles. It reads, pragmatic and loyal, the Prince of Pentacles is a bringer of messages and ideas. He is able to show where businesses can expand and where when it's time to harvest. The meaning of this card is business ideas, deals, mail or messages bring opportunities for expansion. And this card also represents money on the way. Pretty cool. Love that. Yeah, pentacles again have to do with the material realm. Often they do have to do with a sense of abundance. They also have a lot to do with just how our abundance is reflected in the material world, which right now looks like money, resources, and different variations of just the sense of feeling abundant, right? And so abundance can look like it can look like a lot of things for a lot of different people. For most people, it's probably like having money in the bank. For some people, it's having a sense of community. For most people, it's like having access to, I don't know, something as simple as, well, I don't want to say simple, but something like transportation to be able to get up and go where you need to go to show up for uh, your life in a particular way. Maybe it's your circle of friends. So again, these pentacles are just kind of reflecting back to us our sense of, I just kind of want to like put it under the umbrella of like abundance, whatever that abundance looks like to us. And I don't want to make it seem like it's just about having money in the bank, because it can also just, I don't know, it can mean like gifts or like timely assistance. So there's a range when I say abundance. It's not just one thing. So um now moving on to the Princess of Pentacles. It says, seductive and sweetly perfumed, the Princess of Pentacles offers all of life's bounties. To possess them, though, desire is not enough. Constructive action must be taken. The meaning of this card is the ability to create opportunities for growth and beauty. A woman or person who personifies these forces and the ability to work hard to create prosperity. Yes. Um, so I love this. I love the connection and the interplay between the two, the prince and the princess. Um, it seems like the Prince of Pentacles and the Princess of Pentacles, like this duality of, again, the suit of Pentacles is reflecting back to us something about the month of June. And I think that something is like whatever actions that you have been taking, again, to create opportunities for yourself, to irrigate pathways of success, abundance. I think it's about to start raining, which is really cool. Um, but whatever you've been doing to create abundance, open up pathways for yourselves. Um, what was I going to say? Uh, Road openings too. Like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe some of us have been doing like, whether like conscious like road opening sort of ceremonies, or like just unconsciously have been working with certain things within our, like just kind of doing the inner work to open up pathways for ourselves, is paying off. So shout out to this duality of the prince and the princess of pentacles. I feel like this also represents some of us maybe kind of enlisting both our yin and our inner sense of yin and our inner sense of yang to apply ourselves to the material world, instead of, being polarized in a particular way, right? Like instead of just being like, oh, I'm gonna like just wait for these opportunities to come to me, I'm gonna passively manifest them. You've kind of like enlisted the energetic signature in the month of June of the Princess of Pentacles to be like, no, I'm gonna go out there and take action and call on these things. I'm going to actually like ask or voice or speak to the universe or put my foot to the ground and show the universe that this is what I want. Um, and similarly with like our yang aspects, right? Maybe the month of June, instead of just like trying to shoot your shot in all these multiple different directions, you become more focused on like what, or just more targeted, I should say, not focused, but more targeted on how you want to um expand that energy and target it on what you are calling in. And maybe you've gotten more specific about what you are calling in, right? Which is, I think, very artful. Um, an artful use of, instead of just kind of like sowing your seed in a bunch of different directions all randomly without like any sort of specific desired outcome. I think like that maybe some of us, the month of June, our inner narrative has been like, no, universe, God, goddess, spirit guides, ancestors, like this is actually what I want. And it might not just be one thing, right? It's like maybe a certain lifestyle, maybe the pursuit of certain, again, jobs, maybe just the pursuit of a certain, I don't know, I get the sense that it has to do with lifestyle because we are talking the pentacles. Maybe, yeah, these pentacles or these, I should say, this lifestyle goal that you have or this vision that you have for yourself um amalgamates a myriad of things, and instead of being timid with the universe, you've been like, no, this is actually what I want. These things are actually what I want. So pretty cool energies. I do get the sense that a lot of us have been kind of quote unquote putting in our order with the universe, which is pretty fire. Just as I like feel into the container, I definitely have been as well. So I'm like, yeah, like don't be shy, closed mouths don't get fed, as people say, as the streets say. um and I think that these cards are a beautiful representation of that, and representation of like a reflection of your own energy kind of paying off. Um I'm just reading the chat. Um so in reflection to the prince and the um princess of pentacles, we have, was it directly after? Yeah, we kind of had the five of pentacles, and I'm going to read what that card is about because I think that kind of rounds out the message or kind of gives folks the why maybe you felt called to go so hard in the month of June. Again, going so hard in the sense of like being focused, calling in abundance, calling in these lifestyle changes. Um, and the Five of Pentacles reads, wrapped in rags, two beggars wanders through a snowy landscape. One woman covers her face against the harsh cold. The other looks up at the snow and notices its beauty. The meaning of this card is poverty that forces one to look within for greater resources. This poverty may be personified, personified as a lack of wealth, or in a sense um, of emotional sterility. Interesting. This poverty may be personified as a lack of wealth or in a sense of emotional sterility. Yeah, I get the sense that something about the month of June has been sort of breakthrough ish, or has had this energetic signature of like feeling like a breakthrough for some people, to combat the sense of, or sort of create a different polarity from the Five of Pentacles. Again, I do get the sense that the breakthrough is like, I want to change my circumstances. And then um the breakthrough after that is again just getting this flush of like wisdom or insight, or maybe it's not a flush, just little nuggets of flashes of wisdom and insight on how to do that. And so the Five of Pentacles to me in this spread represents sort of the onus, like the driving force behind why some of us do feel called to change our circumstances or call in support to change our circumstances, right? So whether it's a sense of like poverty, like literally in a sense of like just feeling like you don't have enough resources, but then also feeling driven to change those circumstances, or like again this emotional sterility or like internal poverty that we feel, maybe not feeling enriched by our circumstances, not feeling enriched by our environment, kind of feeling like, okay, like, you know, some of these friendship circles or whatever haven't been feeding me, quote unquote, in the way that I want to be fed right now, or like not satiating my internal appetite, and feeling empowered to make those changes, I think is really indicative, or is really what's coming up in terms of what the Five of Pentacles is representing, just that the spark of inspiration to make a difference, to make a change in your own life. And so yeah, like I feel like that's something that I can also relate to in many different ways. um But again, it's the sense of pentacles, right? Like I want to kind of say like, oh my God, all of this is internal, but I do get the sense for the month of June, this has been like external. So whether it's like something as simple as like, oh, looking at your car and being like, oh, I want to upgrade my car, because the one that I have is not working, or the one that I have is not working the way that I want it to. Like this happened for me recently, like where not my car, but like my car battery. It's so funny because I kind of figured this out intuitively. where I was like driving my car a couple weeks ago and I'm like, my car needs something needs to change about my car. Not aesthetically, but I'm like, I feel like mechanically something is off about it. But I never got it checked because usually the person who checks it's not here right now, which is my dad. But I just felt it intuitively. And so uh, a week or so ago, I wanted to go to the movies and my car battery was shot. And car batteries are for my particular car, like the make and model, they're not cheap. They're like an investment. Thankfully, most car batteries have a warranty, so it's not like you're shelling out money and like not seeing a return on that. But I just was like, like expletive, expletive. I was like, oh my gosh, why would this happen right now? But instead of just like going inside and like sulking and like asking myself why this would happen, firstly, I was like able to ask for assistance, ask my brother if he could help, ask my brother if he could jump my car cables, like do a battery test on it to see if it's the battery or if it just needed a little juice. So I was able to like take the steps I needed to kind of like rectify the situation. But secondly, I also um a couple months ago I'd been putting in a lot of work. Like, I took this contract position and from that contract position was able to save, a good amount of money, and which I was so grateful for. And that pool, I was able to draw from that pool to be able to get a new battery. And then I went to the battery shop like that night and I didn't even know they were open late. And it just was like, it was just so simple. It was so seamless, not only to get a new battery, but like it was like the person who was working there was so great. They were able to take my old battery, recycle it, give me a discount, install my new battery. Um, I was able to, again, I had the resources. I was able to get help to actually see what was going on with my battery. So I like just kind of felt like I was like in a new timeline in a sense, in terms of like asking for assistance, in terms of having the resources to be able to like help myself. And then also just feeling like grounded enough to be able to make those steps, right? Which I feel like in the past, for myself personally, I would have probably shrunk and been like, F it, screw this. I'm not dealing with this today. I'm going to deal with it in a week. But I feel like just not procrastinating and being able to like, again, um, just like help myself out by asking for help was like really, really poignant for me. So yeah, for me that I felt like a moment in this month that felt very indicative of what this kind of spread is reflecting back and maybe reflecting back to a lot of us. And like, again, I just want to speak to the fact that these breakthroughs could be very practical and they also could be very like internal, right? Like they could be things that we're just reflecting on about our lives, or they could be things that are actually like changing our material circumstances. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Um, and yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Let's see, what card came after the Five of Pentacles? Yes, the Six of Staves. So I'm going to read the Six of Staves before I move on to pulling some cards around, yeah, which can we, I don't want to say improve on, but there's something there and we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But let's read the Six of Staves. So the Six of Staves reads, crowned with the laurels of victory, the woman rides a pure white horse. The six staves surrounding her are raised in tribute to her success and courage. And this card represents victory, acknowledgement, and honor. So yeah, I feel like the Six of Staves represents doing the work and the sense of victory or sense of accomplishment that comes from having done the work. Again, about not only changing our material circumstances, but having feeling called to call in support to change our circumstances, and then like the sense of victory that comes from just recognizing that, like, yeah, you did that. Yeah, you made those changes. Yeah, you had the wisdom and the savvy enough to call in support to make those changes, or again, take action to make those changes, to call in that abundance, to call in those that sense of support so that abundance feels easeful. um I feel like the sense of victory is definitely like internal, for the month of June. So again, the wins that you've experienced maybe in the month of June are maybe things that only you can see, maybe things that um it's interesting because I'm like, like, I guess for me, I'm like, usually when I have wins, it's okay if other people don't recognize them. But maybe for some of us in the month of June, we felt like, oh, like other people have not seen our sense of success or like the work that we've put in. Um, but I also feel that like some of us have felt at peace with that. Been like, okay, that's fine. I'll keep like winning on my own. That's totally cool. Or like understanding that the acknowledgement might not come at all, and that being totally okay. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna take a sip of my tea. Hang on one second. Oh, interesting. You want to say more? No, Nobu says, I hope it's okay if I read this out loud. My sacral been processing something. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing. And has it been in this container or just in general for like the month? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Nobu says, I feel like it was leading up to this container. Yeah. Nobu also says, I feel like it's about living my life via what I want to be doing versus what I feel I need. Oh, interesting dichotomy. Living my life via what I want to be doing versus what I feel like I need. Yeah, I'm just kind of feeling into that. Thank you for sharing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you feel like that's like a result of like the work that you've been kind of doing? I don't want to just like pigeonhole it to this month, but I'm like, is that kind of like a recent breakthrough? No. Thank you. I guess it's been a long ass pivot. Yeah, I can see that. Mhm. Like 8 years. Wow. Wow. Ashe. That's a big breakthrough. Oh my god. That's like a whole cycle, like planetary cycle. Ashe. Wow. Yeah. I feel like that's very powerful too. Like just realizing that in and of itself feels like enough momentum to make that pivot into what you want to be doing versus like, yeah, like you said, what you feel like you need. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like before I joined this call, I was like I was like washing my hair and just kind of reflecting on how codependency in like a very, 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 very subtle way can like leave us hooked into particular like timelines or particular like outcomes. Um and again, this like without getting too woo, but I am woo. So I'm like, yeah, I have to consider the fact that that is not only real, but has been true for me too and other people that it's like, okay, certain possibilities only become possible when we unhook ourselves from particular timelines or particular outcomes, even if it's just as simple as like calling back our energy and not like hoping for or just kind of like realizing like, yeah, I am hoping for particular outcomes, or I'm like working in this particular way and it's taking my attention from like, or just my focus from the timelines that actually can matriculate, or that I actually can matriculate, that actually are aligned for me to matriculate. Um, and so I'm not sure how that connects, but it feels like some of what I was tuning into has to do with like, yeah, how much energy and momentum it takes to make those pivots. Like they don't just happen overnight, but they do come like once those pivots and those changes happen, like in terms of like what timeline to focus on, once they happen, it's like they're kind of huge. I don't want to just say like, oh my God, they're kind of huge, but it's like, yeah, I think that that's why those types of pivots take a long time, which is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Like, I can understand why it's taken like something like 8 years for you to sort of pivot into, yeah, doing what you want to do. As opposed to, yeah, like doing what you feel like you need to do. And so, yeah, I feel like I can relate in a lot of ways as well. So I appreciate you for sharing. Yay! So I'm gonna pull some cards now on how do I want to phrase this question? Like, Spirit, do you have any cards for us? I guess regarding, yeah, what are some of the, can you reflect back to us some of the lessons from the month of June? Um, or maybe some of the wisdom points, I should say, that we'll be taking into the month of July, since June is coming to a close. Mm. Oh, wow. Okay, lovely. Oh, love this. Okay. One of these cards I haven't seen in a very long time, so I'm really excited that it came out. Um, so the first card that came up is the World card, represented by Gaia. The following card, the King of Swords. I really feel called to pull two cards here. And at the bottom of the deck, which is the card that I was excited about, is the Magic card represented by the goddess Isis. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Ooh, wow. Wowzers. Pretty strong message, Spirit. Thank you. So, whoa, I almost dropped my phone. Let's read. I want to read all these cards, even though I'm like, I kind of, it's funny because I'm like, I feel like the channeled message is just like happening in the background, or like kind of coalescing itself in the background while I read the cards, like what the cards are about. So, but I like to read them anyway because I just feel like it's fun. So let's read the World card, Gaia. It says, in ancient Greece, the earth was personified as Gaia, a goddess who existed before all life and created all life. The story of Gaia reminds us of the interconnection of all the world and the importance of living in harmony with her resources, her being Gaia. The meaning of this card is experiencing connection with the universe, a sense of expansion and hope, an awareness of the fragile ecological balance. This card also represents travel and communication. Yes. Yes. I feel like this card is like spirit reflecting back to us, to some of us, or maybe all of us, that our desire for positive change for the month of June has been seen, heard, received, answered, clocked, however you want to say it. I feel like even the earth herself has joined the conversation, is like, I hear you and I see you. And I feel like that's just really beautiful, honestly. Um, yeah, and I think that that sense of being seen and heard by the earth herself, by the universe itself, um, has not only yeah, been the onus for positive change for some of us for this month, but I think spirit wants us to take that into July. Like, this is not like the type of month where our breakthroughs are just month specific. It's like, okay, we're going to take this with us. Like, these are nuggets and these are wisdom, these points of wisdom, the things that we've learned this month are things that are actually going to have a long-term lasting change, or like effect on our lives. It's going to change us for the better, for the long term, which is really encouraging, you know? Um, this also could mean a change in location for some of us, a change in locale. This can also mean a change in our circles, the people that we feel called to communicate to or with, or we feel empowered to reach out to. Um, this might look like, I don't want to get too, I kind of feel myself dipping into the month of July. Like, I don't want to go there yet, but it feels like, yeah, July is going to be about how the positive changes that we've experienced in June are going to just help us feel more open and open our heart spaces and help us feel more connected. You know, I'm like, I don't know what can be more empowering for the spiritist who actually feels heard and whose messages are received from the universe, their ancestors, their guides. I'm like, there's literally, even for me, I'm like, there's literally nothing more bolstering to like my sense of confidence when I'm like, oh my God, the universe hears me, the universe sees me, my guides hear me, they see me. And it just kind of motivates you to kind of keep going. So yeah, I do get the sense that the Gaia card is kind of, yeah, telling us like these breakthroughs are not just like June specific. The abundance is going to keep coming in for the month of July. These strategies that we picked up on are going to help us beyond the month of July. They're going to actually have a lasting change on our lives, which is again really exciting. Um, so I love that. I really love that. That's really exciting actually, because I'm like, oh, it feels like some stuff that I've been calling in as well. Feels connected to this card as well. So this is really cool. I'm just reading the chat. Noah says, yes, strong vibes. Yeah. That's so funny. You sent that at 12:22. Nobu also says, interesting. I've been kind of catching those change in locale vibes, to be honest. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Like a move or like vacation, or is it too early to tell? Like a move. Ooh, Ashe. That's fire. Which sequence? Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yep. I feel like it might just be non-local vibes coming through. It's been distorted as move for some reason. Mhm. Mhm. Oh yeah. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you for that distinction as well. Because Nobu says I feel like it might just be non-local vibes coming through and it's being distorted as quote unquote move for some reason. It relates to what Nobu says is ancestral, diasporic / nomad karma. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so interesting. Thanks for articulating that. I really appreciate that. Um, because as you were typing, I was also feeling like, I don't know, I'm like, is it a guide? Is it somebody's ancestor? But I just heard the message like remain untethered. And that's not only to place, but I feel like outcome is like what was coming through for me. And yeah, I feel like that karma is something that I have been working with a lot as well. So I just appreciate you articulating it. Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like it can, like, for a lot of us, it can look like feeling called to move. Um, for a lot of us, it could just be, like, on a more, like, internal level, right? Like, just being like, I'm going to actually, like, remain untethered and unattached to, like, whether or not I need to move, um, and that can free up a lot of our energy. Because I know, like, moving I don't know, for me, moving is, like, such it's I mean, for most people, it's fucking huge, like, moving is hard, not only, like, on a physical level, but just, like yeah, it's just hard. So, I don't wanna deter anyone if they feel like that's what they're getting, but I also yeah, I have to speak to, like, just that message of, like, remaining untethered, whether it's to a particular place or a particular outcome, which may look like, oh, thinking that you need to move and realizing, like, maybe you don't. Um, so yeah. Yeah. Yeah, psychosocially, it takes a long time to adjust. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yes, and community is important, especially politically, yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it's interesting because I feel like I'm kind of seeing, like right now in, like, my mind's eye, what I'm seeing is, like, a tree that, like, branches out in a couple different directions, like, a tree trunk that branches out in a couple different directions regarding something like moving. So, like, for some people, it's like, yeah, you may have felt the call to move for a very, very long time, may have been a long time coming. Some of you may have made a move in the more recent years that you're still adjusting to. Um, and then there's some people who don't need to move at all. They just maybe need to move within their local circumstances, which means like engaging and getting involved where they already are. So it could, yeah, I'm like, I don't want to just like spend all this time like deciphering just this one premonition, but I just want to speak to like the fact that moving can look like a myriad of different things for many different people. So it might actually just be about like maybe like garnering enough courage to become more active in your local sphere. It could be about grounding yourself from like a recent move or from a bunch of different pivots. Or it can look like, yeah, I've been preparing for this move. This is the confirmation I need to make that move. And so, yeah, there's that as well. Nobu says, like, if you don't want to be beholden to the norms of the settlers you're traveling amongst, like a chump. Oh my God, that's so funny. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. Yes, that too. Yes. Oh my God, yes. Like, if you want to differentiate yourself from like how your local community or like lack thereof, how your local community moves, get active, get active. Or take a day trip or something. Like, I do that a lot where I'm like, I have felt the itch to move, and then I'm like, "Let me just take a day trip. Let me do a little staycation in the city that I live in, or let me drive an hour and a half out, and, like, let me see this urge from a different vantage point." And usually, like, what I come back with is, like, I just feel like I need to differentiate myself from the horde, from the horde of people, the energy signature of my immediate community or where I live. Because I live in, like, very, like, middle class suburbia. So, like, yeah, it's not really like, for me, for example, it's not really active politically, intellectually, like, where I live right now. So sometimes I just need to see that from a different vantage point, see myself from a different vantage point to become motivated to, like, again, move differently, make different choices, right? Um, so yeah, that's an interesting channel message. Thank you. I feel like That was like some deep earth energies coming into the container, which I really appreciate given how like pentacle heavy this whole reading has been. Um, I'm enjoying the practicality of the message that just came through. So yeah, let's see. I feel like we've already kind of channeled the King of Swords a little bit, but let's just read what it's about. You know, it's really artful. The swords are connected to the path of Isis. So I'm so glad that she came up in this reading. Oh my God. I have not seen the Isis card in way too long. So I'm really excited to read that card and sort of channel into that energy. But let's get to the King of Swords. First, it says, at home with his intellect, the King of Swords brings wisdom and clarity to any situation. He or she is the authority, able to show in any plan what is needed and what can be cut away. Yes. The meaning of this card is the ability to bring calm authority to a situation. This card represents a helpful older man who won't sugarcoat his words and has incisive intellect. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I feel like we already kind of channeled this card, right? Like how to kind of like stand. Oh my God, this was coming through earlier too when I was washing my hair, like standing in your authority, like standing in your sovereignty. And how like sometimes that's it's very loud, like when you're standing in your authority, maybe for the first time. But for some of us, where like sovereignty and like solar plexus work is old hat. So sometimes standing in our authority is very, very, very quiet. Like a big cat that gets low to the ground before it pounces. And I feel like that's what the King of Swords is representing right now. And is reflecting back to us that um, some of the moves or some of the things and the moves that we've um, taken on during the month of June have indeed bolstered our confidence, have indeed helped us stand in our authority um, more, I guess, more solidly is like the way that it wants to come out. Um, that also, when you're, like, standing in your sovereignty, that means that, like for me, it often means, like, a lot of that delay that I experience of, like, waiting for a sign or waiting for, like, an outside authority to, like, confirm whether or not I'm making the right decision is kind of, like that time delay goes away because I'm more action oriented, because I am sort of following those internal intuitive nudges, and I feel like that's what the King of Swords may represent for a lot of us, how quite literally we may see ourselves get a lot of our time back, a lot of our energy back, from just that sense of playing the waiting game because we realize like standing in our authority not only it's not just like about making things happen faster, but it's like kind of the sense of like cutting out the middleman is what I feel like the King of Swords represents. The middleman being again like an external authority, uh giving us the cue to make a particular decision, um to yeah, I guess the way that it wants to come through is like we can't avoid our responsibility by just kind of like waiting for a sign. And so I feel like the King of Swords represents what it looks like, or is like kind of a reflection of like what does it look like if I was to take all of the sovereignty in the sense of inner authority that I've cultivated in the month of June. Like what if I carried on with that? Like what if I continued to embody that beyond just this summer, you know? Like what if this was a permanent change? What if like my sovereignty has more to do with um yeah, trusting my intuition instead of my intellect, um and how my intuition may lead me in particular places that my intellect would not get me. And um wow, it's just super interesting. How does this want to be said, spirit? How can I communicate this? Yeah, I feel like again there's this sense of and like there's this sense of like our intuition becoming louder the more that we act on our intuition. Like the volume kind of turns up more. The volume of our intellect kind of gets turned down. Um, or like that hyper reliance on just merely our intellect, kind of the volume of that gets turned down so that we can be a conduit to our intuition, is kind of how it wants to be said. Yeah, lots of solar plexus energy coming through right now, which is, I mean, I welcome it. That's totally fine. Yeah, and I feel like I'm also kind of dipping into July. Like maybe there are going to be ripe opportunities too in the month of July for us to flex that inner authority, to flex our sovereignty. Um, and that for a lot of us may look like relying more on our intuition over simply relying on our intellect. Uh, is there anything else on that, spirit? Because I'm like, I feel like 6, 7 different. I'm not gonna lie, like 6 or 7 different messages coming through right now, and I'm like, help me streamline this right now, spirit, because it can get pretty complex the more into the weeds that I get. Yeah. I feel like I'm also channeling the King of Swords. I'm trying to bring, like, a calm authority to this channeling, because 'cause I'm like, I can take it 6 different directions, and I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna keep it simple." And yeah, it's interesting because maybe I'll hold on to the King of Swords too for next week, and maybe we can dive maybe I'll just pull a card on it. There we go. Let me put this Isis card to the side. Wow, right under Isis is the Oya card. Right under Oya is Kuan Yin. Okay. I don't need to pull a card. The goddesses have spoken. Hold on. Let me put this in the chat. This is pretty funny. So, under the Isis card was the Strength card represented by Oya, and then underneath Oya was Kuan Yin. So, yeah, the interplay between strength and sacrifice. I'm gonna share this in the chat. Interesting. I do feel like I'm channeling a little bit of July, but that's okay. We can take a peek. We can have a little taste. That's fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, representing strength. Even the card, like this red dress that she's wearing, I feel like has a lot to do with like root energy for those of us who are in tune with our energetic centers and can kind of sense into that. Yeah, I'm feeling like the month of July is going to have a lot to do with our root chakras. And we have Kuan Yin with an amalgamation of different colors. We have gold, we have pinks, we have blues, we have the sun, we have the moon. Are these lotus flowers around the card? I'm not sure. Um, but for some reason, I'm getting the sense that this card has a lot to do with like third eye energies. So, how are these cards clarifying the King of Swords spirit? Yeah, for some of us, standing in our inner authority looks like doubling down on particular outcomes, particular actions that we need to take. Again, like just this sense of like responsibility. Oh, a butterfly. Um, and for some of us, it can look like letting go of a sense of control, of feeling like, okay, I can let the reins go on things that I thought I had control over. So again, the duality of strength and sacrifice feels very poignant here. Feels very abstract still, I think because it is a month that has not happened yet. So I feel like I'm kind of also channeling like from the astral when it comes to this. Um, but yeah, I don't know if there's more to say on that. Let's just stay tuned. Let's just stay tuned. And we're gonna move on to the Isis card. Ooh, okay. Isis. Okay. So it reads, the great Egyptian fertility goddess Isis is a potent symbol of the alchemical transformation suggested by this card. She alone was the possessor of the secret name of Ra, the Egyptian ruling god, giving her unlimited magical powers. The meaning of this card is a growing awareness of the magic within yourself, a yearning to grow beyond perceived limitations, and a reminder that you are able to transform your life through the strength of your originality and power. All you need to do is own it. This card also represents renewed creativity and vigor. Ah, okay, it's interesting because when it's reversed, which is not, it's not in this particular card or this pull, but when it is reversed, it represents a need to control and secrecy. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like Isis here just represents, I don't want to say just, represents the exactly what it says, a growing awareness of the magic within yourself, a growing awareness of how some of us feel like, okay, I can rely on the wisdom that I get from the earth, the wisdom that I receive from the ancestors, the wisdom that I receive from the universe to guide me. Feeling into how your magic making, your spell work, your castings, your road opening rituals actually have an effect on your material day-to-day life and also how you see yourself, like your sense of confidence, your sense of connection with the world. So I think that Isis here is sort of like showing up as an alchemical bomb to remind us that some of the work that we will be doing from here on out, just in our lives in general, and the work that we need to do to create change doesn't just happen on a material level, that it happens also in all these different realms. They happen in in the astral, like I had mentioned earlier. They happen, change happens when we work with our chakras, when we work with our energy body, when we work with our etheric body, um, when we call in support, when we ask for guidance, when we feel called to, I don't know, light a candle, create an altar, chant, channel, dance, all of these things have an intrinsic effect on um, on our lives, not only just our well-being, but also the outcomes and the timelines that we feel called to channel, right? Called to ground. These are the things that often set us apart. Doing these workings, working our magic, these are the things that often set us apart from not only just the average person, but even within our own ancestry, right? Doing the work sometimes like when I get into my bag, I'm like, this is some shit that none of my ancestors would do. Or maybe they did long, long time ago, right? Time is not linear. But maybe they did do this long time ago. And me acting in this way is sort of reinvigorating this power, not only in my lineage, but within myself. And these are the things that have and do and will create change for me, for others. And so I feel like Isis here represents the trust that maybe we have cultivated in the month of June and that spirit wants us to kind of hold on to, say that like you need to take your magic with you everywhere you go, right? And not just like the magic of your personality and your charisma. I mean, that might be part of your magic, right? But this is the magic of like alchemy, like work, like, there's like doing the work and then there's like creating works, right? Like creating outcomes based on the magic that we feel called to express at any given time. Um, yeah, I feel like this is a very profound energy. I feel like it connects to the Gaia card as well pretty strongly. And I also feel like it's, yeah, a representation of the King of Swords in a way where, in order for our magic to have an effect, we do have to be standing on our spiritual authority. And we do have to also be connected and respectful to the spiritual ecology that we're a part of. And so that delicate balance, I feel like, is represented by Isis. Um, is represented by her tutelage, by her lineage. For anybody who does feel connected to her and does work with her, it might be wise, like in the month before, this new we embark on this new month, to call on her, um, to call on her wisdom, to even just take some of the things that I'm saying, and apply them in your own way, whether it's like refreshing an altar, creating an altar if you haven't created one, um, refreshing some of the tools that you do have to work your magic. Like, these are the things that I feel like as I'm channeling are going to be helpful. Um, for some of us, we might not even feel called to change our tools, just maybe our perspective and, like, reinvigorating our own practice with the sense that, like, yeah, this what does Jay-Z say in that song? The fact that the spiritual-ish really works is and that's a direct quote, I think, from Jay, is like, yeah, just remembering that it really works and that in and of itself can be, the thing that can help reinvigorate your sense of trust with your inner magic and how it has that outer effect. Um, yeah. Ooh. It's interesting because 'cause I'm like, I feel like Isis's energy is so powerful, but also very soothing, like, very motherly, very, like, "Take my hand, I will guide you," but I'm also very powerful at the same time, and so, um, yeah, I kind of appreciate that signature coming through right now. Spirit, is there anything else to say? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I just kinda wanna hold space, see if there's any questions, any lingering vibes in the container. Oh, wow. Thank you for reflecting, Nobu. Nobu says, "No questions, but the strong body gnosis in this container." Yeah, thanks for saying. I feel like my mind was V open, but not V particular. Nice. And humming. Ashe, thank you. Thank you. Well, also thank y'all for if you're listening to this, thank you for tuning in. I would love to know how yeah, like, if you have any questions, if you have any reflections. Thank you, Nobu, for joining. Um, thank you, Spirit, for allowing me to channel the messages. Feel very grateful. Um, yeah, and I'm looking forward to forecasting the upcoming month. I'm going to make a mental note to remind myself to come back to the King of Swords because that card feels important, but we'll see. I'm going to just make a mental note and see if it's relevant for next week. And yeah, I hope that everybody has a good week. And I will talk to y'all later. Peace.